Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to another stroll through the woods in a beautiful day here in the UK. Absolutely gorgeous, sunny, warm. Here I am in a t-shirt yet again, just for something different. Welcome along. If it's your first time here, it's very, very happy to have you here as I stroll through the woods in the beautiful surroundings near my home. If you're a returning subscriber, equally wonderful to have you here. Thank you very much for joining me. So if you haven't been here before, this channel, my channel is about me taking a walk through the woods. So that's not just me walking along and talking. It is just showing off some of the beautiful surroundings of the world that we live in. Just to remind you that everything is not lost. It's all wonderful. The world we live in is wonderful, and just sharing some information, my viewpoints, my thoughts and opinions. Obviously, it is my thoughts and opinions. You don't have to agree with everything I say. And today is it's an auspicious day, really, because I got my first downlike, my first unlike on one of my videos from someone who didn't even watch it, which was, I consider that to be a real blessing. That if you can take rejection, if you can learn to live with rejection, then most of your life will become a lot easier, because we fight against rejection quite often. So I don't fight against people who hold a different viewpoint than me. In fact, I welcome it, because if we can't have discussions about things that can trigger people, let's put it that way, then where are we at in this world? And that's what I want to encourage with this channel, is discussion and different viewpoints. So thank you to the person who gave me the down vote and who left a comment disagreeing with what I said, because I welcome that disagreement. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Now, today's video, about a month ago, or about 6 weeks ago, I think I did a video about the future is now and very, very bright. Now, sorry, I'll also apologize. There is a bit of wind today. I've come to the forest to try and cut down on the wind. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it's not too loud, but so yeah, anyway, about 6 weeks ago, I did a video, The Future is Bright. The future is now very, very bright, which was about new technology patents that were released by the US Navy. And I promised that in the future I would reveal some more. And here we are. I have made some notes. I've been studying this for a few days now, just to sort of get my head around it. I'm not going to joke and lie that I understand it, because if I did, I probably would be standing here making videos about other people's work. I'd be doing the work myself. So this, for want of my contribution to this whole these patents and this information, is presenting it to people that might not have come into contact with this information before. So I'm hoping you're going to learn something today, because I have learned something over the past few days that I think will put a smile on your face. Let's put it that way. It's very, very interesting information, and it's the question I ask myself is, why now? Okay, and I think that we are heading into something, a time where we have world peace, an economy that isn't rigged, so financial and banking systems that aren't rigged, backed by something tangible like gold, and technologies that will benefit us rather than harm us. So, today's video, we're going to be talking about a man called Garrett Modell. Okay, you might not have heard of him. I hadn't until I saw this. Now, this man has been working on some patents for some years now. He holds quite a lot of patents for much the same as what we're going to be reading about today. And there's one patent that I'm going to quote, but I also link in the comment section that will be the pinned comment, pinned comment that will take you to a link of all of his patents, or his team, not just him, but his team's patents. There are other people involved, but this is the man who's been involved in all these patents, Garrett Modell. So this patent's going back, I think the earliest one I saw was 2013, but it's been going on for quite some time. And the latest patents we're going to be focusing on are for January 12th, the patents received on January 12th, 2021, so quite recent rather. December 17th, 2020, November 17th, 2020 and November 17th, 2020. Those are the patents we're going to focus on. But the one I'll quote to you right now is patent number 20200395872. Okay? We are going to, as I say, I'll link it in the pinned, as a pinned comment. Have a look, and you can have a look for yourself. And then you can do some research like I did. And perhaps you'll have a better understanding than I will if you have anything to do with engineering, quantum physics, any kind of mathematical background. You'll probably have a better understanding than I will, but I'm going to try and break it down for you as best as I can with my limited knowledge. Now, there is a channel that I watch on YouTube. I can't pronounce the name. I'll also link that in the description section below. Very knowledgeable man, very, very well read, who doesn't like the use of the words force and field. Not in that, not together, as in force field, but force and field. He can explain a lot better than I can. I can understand about 4% of what he says. Very, very smart man. So I'm going to try not to use the words that he doesn't like me to use, just in case one day he actually accidentally watches my channel. And I'll try and explain it as best I can in layman's terms, because that's what I am as a layman. So if there is a correction to be made in any of the information, please feel free to share in the comments section, because I'm always learning. And as I say, I spent about 3 days looking at this information to try and get a better understanding, to break it down as easy as I can. Okay. So the first patent, which is the patent number I gave to you, is a muscle optimization device, okay, using resonant frequencies for therapy in muscle, ligament and tendon repair. The patent was granted January 12th, 2021. Okay, so what does that mean? Now, if you've seen my video on Nikola Tesla and Trump, Tesla said if you understand energy, vibration and frequency, then you understand the nature of the universe. Now, from this patent here, it is Tesla technology, using resonant frequencies to repair muscles, tendons and ligaments. But it's not just muscles, tendons and ligaments. As I've said in one of my other videos as well, there's been research done back in the 50s, I believe, where there was a scientist back then who was using frequencies, resonant frequencies, to destroy cancers inside the body without damaging any other healthy cell. So Tesla technology in use, patent granted January 12th of this year. Why now? There has been widespread rumours and speculation about something called med beds. Now med beds are as I say, rumour, speculation, that it can repair your DNA at the DNA level using frequency, vibration and energy. Okay, so that's supposed to be in the works, but it's funny that this patent was granted January 12th, 2021. Okay, I think that's strange. Okay, the second patent, system for driving the generation of products, a device to shift energy density, creating fuel and light from one region to another region using a Kashmir vacuum. So it's basically what that is. The easiest way I can break it down is 0-point energy, energy and light generation from magnetic field, magnetic resonance that differs between a Kashmir vacuum, which is a vacuum that's created between two plates. Long story, trying to explain it, I can't do it. I will, as I say, it'll be in the links. So the transfer of energy from point A to point B from the vacuum, outside the vacuum, creates energy and light for free. Okay, amazing, absolutely amazing. So 0-point energy device, patent that was granted on the 17th of December 17th, you say? Interesting, don't you think? That was December 20th, December 17th, 2020. So that's pretty amazing, yeah? Should we continue? Quantum vacuum fluctuation devices. I'm not even going to go into that because it's very similar to the last one. Quantum vacuum fluctuation devices, patent granted November 12th of last year. Okay. Quantum Plasmon fluctuation devices, also granted November 12th, 2020. Okay, so as I've said before, when we're talking about patents, if you don't know how patents work, you have to submit a working model or a schematic of a drawing to show how the device works and that it is a working model to the patent office, who will then only grant you a patent if they can confirm that it is a working model or if it is the schematic would create the effect that you're applying for the patent for. Okay? So in other words, this exists now. In our world, in this reality that we experience as reality, this technology exists where we can generate electricity out of the ether essentially for free. Unlimited amount of energy and light. Okay? My last video about this subject, the US Navy released these patents. So you can imagine that if they're releasing the patents for that technology the US Navy is, what the actual technology that we have now is. Okay? Those patents that the US Navy released were for a zero-point energy device the size of a small car, for want of a better size, want of a better comparison. A room temperature superconductor, which means you can transfer energy from point A to point B without losing energy in between. Usually energy is lost with heat and light over large distances. Hence the reason why we need substations for electricity. Okay. And then the third one was for a triangular shaped anti-gravity device, anti-gravity flying machine. So combine those three together and you have a anti-gravity flying machine with a built-in electricity generation device, zero-point energy device, which means it could travel faster than the speed of light and you could travel into space with it. So why are we using rockets to take things into space like satellites? Interesting, don't you think? So what these patents tell us that I just read out to you, and the man who's responsible for them, Garrett Modell, what does that tell us? Why now? Why is this information being released now? Why are the patents being granted now? Do you think it's new? Do you think this technology is brand new and it's only just happening now because we're in the 21st century? Of course not. We are at the precipice. I know it looks like we're at the precipice, and I've spoken, quite broadly about it. That it looks like we're doomed as a species on this planet. Well, if we were to believe everything we see in the media, we are. But as we've seen multiple times in the past, present, and no doubt the future, the media and the governments have lied to us. Now, I see what's happening in Texas. Now, it's a little bit more complex than just one thing, but what's happening in Texas is, Texas is one of the largest oil and gas producers in the US, but yet, for some reason, they haven't got power, they haven't got electricity. Why is that? Because they decided to go for green energy. Hence, the windmills that are frozen solid, or the solar panels that are covered in snow. So look, I'm all for green technology. I'm all for it. Look at, I haven't been able to do a video for a couple of days because it's been bloody so windy I can't get outside, but I'm all for green technology. But you have to understand that there is technology now that exists, hence the patents, which is why I'm reading this out to you, that means we don't have to we don't have to be using that old, outdated technology. Now, bear in mind as well, before we go down that route too far, in order to create this green technology that we're talking about, which is wind turbines, electric cars, and all these kind of things, which I think, electric cars, I want one. I want a Tesla. That's when I've invested in digital assets, in digital currencies, things like, not Bitcoin, but I sold all my Bitcoin, things like XRP and Cardano and those things. I have invested in that so that I can take the profits from my investment and purchase things like a Tesla, which was my next big purchase. That's what I want to buy. It's £110,000 to buy me a car. I'd like one. But in order to create those cars, to create the windmills and to create the solar panels and all those kind of things, we have to dig up the earth. Okay, now the earth gets dug up by what? Diesel-powered machinery, like trucks and front-end loaders and diggers and all those kind of things. And the energy that's used to process those minerals into something like steel comes from things like coal-fired power stations and nuclear power stations. Nuclear power stations, by the way, is a giant steam engine. Just in case anybody's wondering about that, it's a giant steam engine. With that technology, with the giant steam engine technology that we're talking about with nuclear power stations, we also have a massive problem of nuclear waste. Where does the nuclear waste go? Well, let's look at Fukushima. Let's look at Fukushima. What happened in Fukushima? That's right, a tsunami that could happen again in the near future, perhaps. Like if an asteroid was to pass close enough to Earth, for instance. What's NASA talking about at the moment? Interesting. Then we have what happened in Ukraine with the meltdown of the reactor in Ukraine many years ago. Which brings me to another point about how do we clean up nuclear spills, nuclear radiation spills. How do we clean that up? I mean, we've come this far. Fukushima's been, leaking radioactive water into the ocean for years now. Years and years. How do we clean that up? Now, I was reading just the other day about a product that I'm trialing for myself called Zeolite, which is a clay. Perhaps the terminology isn't right there. I do apologise for this wind, by the way. I'm trying to stay sort of out of the wind, but it is a windy day here. So zeolite is a clay that has absorbent, it absorbs things like heavy metals and radiation as well into itself and doesn't release it. So if you have it in your body, it takes heavy metals and toxins and things out of your body and you pass it, you excrete it out. And also improves your gut flora. Zeolite, have a look into it. Z-E-O-L-I-T-E, zeolite. So they used that in Ukraine to clean up some of the nuclear radiation before they sent people in. Interesting, right? So we're at a point in our reality where we have 0 point energy, so we were able to create electricity essentially from a change in a magnetic resonance from one point to another. It's the easiest way I can put it. So that generates electricity. So we have that now. It exists now with zero waste, zero spoiling of the environment. So we're not having to dig up as much material to make the wind turbines that you can never recycle again, by the way, the fan blades. There's thousands of them sitting there. So the wind turbines, why are we doing it? Why are we spending the money when they have to constantly be replaced anyway? Because they're usually placed by the sea or in the sea here in the UK. They're out in the sea. So it cuts down the amount of resources that we have to dig out of the earth and the machinery that we could use to do it. So we could change all our machinery. If we were to go to this 0 point energy, for instance, and have electric trucks and electric front-end loaders, everyone's worried about carbon dioxide, which isn't a pollutant, by the way. There's carbon emissions, but how are we going to do it? Carbon credits. So you can have the same polluters that are polluting right now. They can pollute just as much as they are, but then they pay carbon credits. So they're just going to be paying to to be able to keep on dumping what they dump into the atmosphere, but they'll be able to pay for it, whereas you and me will have to be paid more through our extra taxes. And where does all the money go? Where's all that money going? I wonder if there's some big corporations that are going to be paying for these tax credits are going to be benefiting from that. Interesting. Now, while we're on the tax credits things and the environment, if there's a movie, An Inconvenient Truth, okay? An Inconvenient Truth, go back, watch that movie, okay? An Inconvenient Truth. If you haven't watched it, go back and look at the predictions made in that movie and see if any one of them came true. Just one. Go back and watch it. And let's talk about the climate. I grew up in the 70s, 80s, obviously, 70s and 80s, and back then we were talking about an ice age. We're heading to an ice age. And then in the 90s it became global warming. And then in the 2000s it became climate change. Why is that? Why did it change so drastically from going from an ice age? Because I used to try and justify it saying, well, the environment, and there's a whole pile of fluffy arguments where they say, well, yes, of course it will lead to, if the global warming, then it will cool the planet down, which will make an ice age. Look, it's nonsense. It's all about funneling money from point A, which is usually government coffers, into private companies' hands. Have a look during the Obama and Biden era, how much money went into clean energy companies, companies that produce solar and wind farms. How many of them went down the tube? Where did all the money go? Like I say, you don't have to believe anything I say. All I'm doing is I'm presenting information to you, and I'm asking you to go and have a look for yourself. It's not up to me to be the school teacher and say, this is the truth. I'm presenting information that you can either write off or you can verify for yourself. But what's important about this stuff, the stuff that I talked about today, the patents that were released today, it changes the game. It changes the game. If we do swap over to electric cars, electrically heating our houses, and that electricity is generated, we could generate our own electricity, okay, using a device that we 3D print out. Oh, that's far-fetched, Chris, even for you. Well, is it just? Is it? How do you think? Let's just assume for a second that people are in space and we have a space station and people are out there doing their thing. Let's just assume for a second that they need a specialist tool when they're out in space. How do they get it? How do they get it? Oh, that's good. The rocket goes up there and takes it to them. Okay. What if they need it for the survival of the crew on the space station within a day, and they can't get a rocket up there in time? What do? How do you think they manufacture tools and parts and things that they need for the space station? Where do you think it comes from? So my point being, if you've ever watched Star Trek and they had these things called replicators, that they can 3D print a tool or food. Now, if you see also that there's something going on where they're talking about synthesized meat, where do you think that comes from? So we are looking at a world where there is electricity generation, healing frequencies and technologies, 3D printing technologies, and many other things that we don't know about, but yet we're frightened of the climate changing. We're frightened of a virus. We're frightened of everything. We're told to be frightened of everything. Why? Why are we doing that? Why is there a push to have us all frightened? So that we change. Because no one ever changes when they're comfortable. And I've told this story before and I love it. I love this story and I'll tell it again because I just love it so much. It's the story of the lobster, okay? So lobsters have a problem because from the moment lobsters are born until the moment they die, they're constantly growing, which presents a problem for the lobster because it lives in a hard exterior shell, an exoskeleton. Now, as the lobster keeps on growing, it grows into the exoskeleton until it gets to a point where it starts to be uncomfortable. It keeps on growing, becomes more uncomfortable, until it gets to a point where it can't stand it any longer. So what happens is it goes to a rock, finds a rock, pulls off that hard exterior shell that's causing it so much pain. It's exposed for a short period of time, and then it grows a new one, and it goes about its day, and it repeats this process over and over again throughout its whole life. Now, what does that mean? What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is nothing ever changes when you're comfortable. You have to be pushed to a point of discomfort in order for you to change how you live. Now, I grew up driving cars with petrol, and you like the sound of rum rum. You go to the drag races, and I used to go to the speedway and watch the speedway cars and motorbike races, and as many of us still do. But the world is changing. Some of those changes are going to be wonderful. We're going to love. Other changes, it's going to take a lot of getting used to. How confident am I with 3D printed meat? Not so much. But I also recognise that if the technology exists and it is as good as what they say it is, and if, what would that mean for the world? We've got third world countries, or developing nations as they call them now, to make sure we got the nomenclature right. Developing nations could feed their citizens. Well, they could feed their citizens now. Let's remember that. They could feed everyone on the planet right now if they really wanted to, but do they want to? But these developing nations could feed everyone in their country. We could have what we needed without having to dig up the earth, without having to destroy the world that we live in. By using technology to make the world a better place. Now, it depends on who's in control of that technology as to how it's utilised, of course. Like the nuclear technology could be used to make a bomb to destroy us, or it could be used to create electricity. Why do I think the technology is being released now? Is because I honestly believe that there are very good people in this movement that are in control of the release of information and the release of these technologies, and guiding us all onto a future where we will not only benefit but will thrive. Now, I will continue to present information like this because there's a lot more coming, I can promise you that. And as it happens, I will bring it to you. There's other things that I know about that haven't yet been released. And when they are, you can be sure that I will present them as I've done here today. As the information comes out and as I get hold of it, you'll know about it. I'm not going to hint as to what that information is, because I've been ridiculed in the past for saying dates that things are going to be released, and that's the impossible thing to pick. I never know. I have information. I'm not an insider. Let's clarify that. I'm not connected to anyone. I'm not connected to anything. I'm just the average guy who right now is sitting on his ass because the government won't allow me to go to work. But it gives me a lot of time, and I have an interest in this kind of technology and this kind of information to be able to research it, where a lot of people don't. So I will continue to present the information. I hope you like what I've done here today. As I say, look for the link in the pinned comment in the comment section below, in the comment section. If you like what I've done, hit the like button and come on back for another visit, because I can guarantee you, if nothing else, the information I present here, my thoughts, opinions, and the information I present will maybe arouse some curiosity in your thinking. I hope it does, because that's what I'm here for. So, that all said, thank you so much for joining me here. Really appreciate your time and taking your time to spend some time with me walking through the woods. And I shall look forward to seeing you soon. But take care of each other. Take care of yourself. Get together. Give each other a hug and give each other a kiss, because we need to have that human connection to really take things forward. Because what's the point of having all the new technology if we're living completely separate and we're not in touch with our fellow man? All right, look after yourselves. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care. Bye.